Hello, I'm Dr. Nicola with Pura Vida Healthcare, and I wanted to talk to you today about burnout. I did an in-service for a local nonprofit a few weeks back, and this was really the theme, especially as there's so many changes to navigate in our daily world. The news cycle and all this sort of thing is keeping us on our toes, not really knowing what's coming next. A lot of us are reporting feeling burned out, overwhelmed, burdened, or kind of not sure where to go or what to do, and feeling like the situation is somewhat futile, in that they're feeling like they're not really sure, or we're not feeling really sure. What can I do about this? And feeling pretty stuck. And when we get into this place of feeling stuck, then we feel like we don't have a choice. And that can be incredibly life draining, because when we feel like we have to push through, we just have to get up and do the thing one more time, it kind of sucks away at our vitality, and it covers everything in this filter of heaviness, of like, I have to do this, I should do this. And that gets in the way of us actually being present and engaged, which allows us to feel more appreciation for the moment. I don't know if anybody saw it, but yesterday on Instagram, I posted a picture of, I was shredding some client documents, and it was a cool purple light that came on, and it looked like it was snowing. And I was like giggling to myself, and I'm like, I'm going to record this because here I am alone in my office shredding paperwork, and I'm having the best time because I had some space to do it. And I was also not thinking about 17 other things while I was doing it. So there is a possibility to find joy and even a giggle in the mundane tasks that we do get to choose to show up for every day. But I think before I jump into the strategies, I want to talk about choice, and that I want to remind you that in every moment you have a choice. I just made myself a cup of tea. I'm feeling, I just had lunch, so I'm feeling pretty fueled, but I was like, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit tired. I haven't been sleeping awesome the last couple of nights. So I put in some collagen and some cordyceps into my tea just as a little extra boost for the afternoon. So that's a choice. That's one way I can take care of myself. I could have a cup of coffee. No one wants to see me caffeinated, I promise you. But I could do that, or I could actually add something that brings nutrition. So that's a choice that I have. But a lot of times we're moving so fast that we don't actually give ourselves time and space to connect with what we really need. And that is the number one offering I have to prevent or deal with burnout as it comes, is take more pauses. And these could be micro rests. I'm talking about 30 seconds of closing your eyes, taking 3 breaths into your belly, or when you use the bathroom and you're going pee, just taking a moment. How am I right now? Where is my mind? Where is my emotional body? How connected do I feel? How does my physical body feel? What might I need to take better care of myself? So there's a 2-minute bathroom break where we can just take a moment and check in. If we notice an emotion comes up, can we take a moment and just breathe into it and create space for it? These are all opportunities that we have, but if we're not slowing down or taking a pause, then we really miss that opportunity. And it's really important. And it doesn't have to be an hour break or a 15-minute break even. Could be, or maybe you want to move those meetings and do a walking meeting, something like that. But can you build in some transition time between events during your day so you could actually just sit? And I'm just noticing the bird song outside of my window. Can you sit and listen to the birds for a minute? Can you watch the clouds build up in the sky? Can you just put your feet on the ground and just feel your body for a moment? So taking a break is really important, and even a tiny break counts. It doesn't have to be a monumental shift. And saying no, and remembering that saying no is actually an act of being self-centered. So where I'm centered and aligned within myself, and I'm really noticing how much time, energy do I have to spare, and I'm not overextending myself. I'm not dropping into that kind of dysfunctional way that we show care, of surrendering or sacrificing ourselves in order to do something for somebody else. It's really an act of honor and respect when I can check in and say, I actually don't have time or space or energy for this. And it's not selfish. It's actually an act of self-care, and it provides somebody else an opportunity to look elsewhere for resources and actually expand their network of people and things that they can look to when they need assistance. And then the next time that they ask or someone asks for your assistance, they can rely on you to be trustworthy and authentic. So then they don't have to caretake you because they know you always say yes when you mean no or you don't have time. But they also need your help. And so they're going to let you do it. And then we continue in this cycle of codependency that creates a lot of stress and tension in our system. Find a moment of meaning every day. That's number 3. And so one thing that had meaning to you, maybe that was a kind word that was spoken to you, or a smile that you offered someone in the grocery store, or letting someone go ahead of you in traffic, or again, just noticing the beauty of the change of the seasons. But what has meaning for you? Because when we are going through our day and we are going through the motions and we feel like no matter how hard we work, there's a longer to-do list at the end of the day, we start to lose our sense of purpose. And that again can be very life force draining. So where's something or somewhere or someone that brings meaning to your actions, to your work, to your efforts, and really let yourself feel in and connect with that. That could be as simple as making lunch for yourself or for your kiddo. And there's meaning in knowing that they are cared for in that way, or that you have taken the moment to care for yourself by providing a lunch or making space in your day to go and nourish yourself. So find that deeper meaning, that bigger why. Super important. And remember that you don't have to do this alone. A lot of times, especially in the era of social media, we feel like everybody is doing okay except us. And that's not true. These are all just images that have been created to make us want to buy things. If I'm being totally honest, it's like, oh, you're sad? Well, they just got a new car. Maybe if you got a new car, you would feel better too. So know that you can be honest and authentic with your community, and you can certainly be honest and authentic here in this community. We welcome that. So if you feel like you don't have it in your personal world, please know that that is most welcome here, and that you are beautiful and enough, especially when you are sharing your raw truth. So you don't need to hide that. And it's actually really helpful because oftentimes when we share something, we'll be met with nods of understanding, or someone else will then be encouraged to share something similar or something that they've been holding. And all of a sudden we feel this strength in the fabric of our community. It's really, really important, especially in this digital age where we spend less time actually connecting in a authentic and direct way. And the last offering I would have for you today is this quote of, "This is happening for me, not to me." And so really, no matter what is happening, and sometimes this is where the mind part of us wants to really rebel and be like, no, this can't possibly be happening for me. But I promise you, no matter what's unfolding, there is a gift in here. And so an open-ended question that could maybe help you to feel into that is, what is the gift in this that I'm not seeing? What, show me, show me, show me. And maybe an answer doesn't come through right away. And maybe it's more of a lived question of how is this happening for me? What is the gift that's here for me? Because there's always something that we can learn and grow from, no matter what's happening. It doesn't mean to say that we don't have the emotions that are attached with moving through something difficult or challenging, but we can, if we know that there's some gem here for us, again, it gives us a deeper foothold and gives us a little bit more steady ground beneath our feet in order to face the obstacle in front of us. How is this related to health? Well, if you've heard me talk before about inflammation, basically there's cortisol, right? So cortisol is our main stress hormone. So stress has 2 primary functions in the body: to manage the fight or flight and freeze stress response, and the other is to manage inflammation. You're thinking about hydrocortisone, corticosteroids. A lot of us are familiar with these pharmaceuticals. Well, they're big time anti-inflammatories, which to me, is related to the cortisol in our body, which is there to help balance and regulate inflammation. So if there's one biochemical, and it's not this simple, but I'm oversimplifying it here to make this point. If cortisol's primary reason for being is to manage inflammation, but there's a stress response it is going to evolutionarily go down that stress response pathway, leaving less physiological cortisol in our bodies to help manage inflammation, which then translates into chronic disease, things like autoimmune or diabetes or heart disease or joint pain or depression or any of these chronic illnesses that have inflammation as their root cause, which is all of them, as far as I'm concerned. If you know of a chronic disease that doesn't have inflammation at its root, please let me know. But I'm going to go and say all of the chronic diseases, at least that I'm aware of, they're rooted, at least in part, in inflammation and also a difficult relationship to ourselves, where we're constantly tripping over our own nervous system because we are stressing out, because we are worrying, because we feel like we're never satisfied or never really having any reward from our efforts. It can feel, again, that futile feeling can be very, very hard on the system. But physiologically, that's translating into a stress response, which is then leaving less of that cortisol to manage inflammation and us more susceptible to all sorts of chronic diseases, but also acute illnesses too. Think of colds and flus, and when you get the flu and you're all achy and that sort of stuff, that's inflammation. That's a huge part of your immune system. So immune system and nervous system are hand in hand linked, and inflammation, a lot of us don't realize, is actually a primary part of our immune system. We don't necessarily think of it that way, but it's one of the major responses of the immune system is an inflammatory response. So if we can connect this relationship between inflammation, immune system, and nervous system, we start to see the physiological overlap, and that will help us. For a lot of us, we need like a scientific, logical reason to do these things, to make these shifts around saying no, creating more space, pausing, breathing, making space for your emotions. It all sounds very well and good until you've got a laundry list of things to do, but having this sort of explanation around how we are in relationship to not only ourselves but the world around us actually impacts our physical health, can help us to be motivated to make some of those changes that our heart has maybe been calling for, but our head has maybe been saying, we don't have time for that right now. So I'm here to maybe offer the question, is that true? Do you not have time for this right now? Or is this actually your highest priority? So thank you so much for joining me today. If you have questions or comments, please message them below, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.